Tonight, we step into a world of contradictions, where joy collides with sorrow, where the fleeting magic of life is never far from disillusionment, and where poetry becomes a vessel for both torment and relief. Welcome to Original Strange Fairy Tales and Other Stories. I'm so glad you're here for something truly special. Tonight's reading is unlike anything I've shared on this channel before, because this is a collaboration with the author herself. Florence Njoki has entrusted me with her debut poetry collection, and together we invite you to step into her world of words. Florence is a Nairobi-based writer and poet who finds her presence in the world through writing. She has been a writer for as long as she can remember, in spirit and in action, as she tries to make sense of the world around her. She writes about the joys and conflicts of life, the magic and disillusionment from one moment to the next, the dark side of a bright smile, the pain and relief of busy days, the simplicity and difficulty of existence, and all the contradictions of life that bring happiness and torment. Her poems appear in the East African Sunday Standard and Poetica magazine, and her first collection of poems was released on August 8, 2023. Florence's love for writing is only rivaled by her love for cats. What you're about to hear is not just a reading, but an immersion into her vision, poems that move through grief, longing, hope, silence, and resilience. Sometimes they whisper, sometimes they cry out, but they are always true. And if you'd like to hold the blank mind in your own hands and support the channel at the same time, stay with me until the end of this video. I'll share how you can get a copy of the book for yourself, so you can return to these poems whenever you wish and experience Florence's words at your own pace. Now, settle in, let the words wash over you, and allow her collection, The Blank Mind, to speak for itself. Enjoy. A Call at Midnight. There's a ring in the distance, a blurry noise, hardly discernible, but it haunts the room. Upstairs, the bed rattles, shakes, and overturns. It doesn't break. The windows open, the curtains flatter, in the foreign wind. A light feigns interest in the tender display, but the ringing pierces through, prodding. A sharp pain turns into a silent scream, a dream, something human. Eyes open. The minutes before the chaos. I love the mornings, the sun at dawn, the initial sound of music, the screeching engines, the minutes before the chaos. It is already chaotic enough in my mind. The tables turning, big ideas, perhaps too small. Fear, worries, a paralyzing roller coaster. But the few minutes before the chaos, I am in love. Love, almost intangible. But I still felt it shiver, wither. There's chaos in my mind, but I remember. The first kiss, perhaps the last. Do you love me? There's only one answer. Then we take the next step. We fly. But the chaos in my head, a paralysis. I walk away. I look for that sun at dawn. I love those minutes. I love the mornings, the few minutes before the chaos. A fleeting illusion. What are you scared of? The illusion of a life on page, or the reality of fear, of obstructions, the dreams, or the perceptible nothingness. What am I going to do tomorrow? Work, more work. What work do I have to complete? Is it really enough? What more do I need to do? I am scared of everything these days, and maybe a little bit fed up. All these questions, but in the end, it is the same. Alone at night, she says she is simply jaded. The dreams, the illusions, the hope worn down. And that's when the fear sets in. I get scared that perhaps I am tired of living. A writer on the road in the woods. Another illusion, it seems. A traveler of distance, restless, aimless. A wordsmith, short of assurance, fatigued, without ideas, trapped in an endless loop of doubt, of failure, a mess, painting endless images, memories, dreams, and even nightmares about a long overdue fantasy. New voices, new voices. Louder, clearer, develop in the wake of the governor's election. He is the man for the working class people, and finally, the inhabitants of the city won't worry about eating their own children for dinner. The problem with a messiah, in fiction and in reality, is he certainly walks on the icy waters. There is a slight difference in the two shades, but in the end, the devotees take the leap as well and sink into their final hours, exalting change. New voices, subdued, obscured, blend in quiet acceptance of the bankrupt aristocrat who puts on a pitiful outfit in a signature move that veils vanity as penance. He will be back as the hearts and minds grow weary to lead another working-class revolution. It's a long way to December. In the new year. My mother's eyes twinkle with the crackers. Smile a little more, she says. You have to be grateful, joyful. It is okay, Mum. I flash her some teeth. I do not want to disappoint this year. By March, the taps have run dry. The slightest crumbs are an extravagance now. I have limited time, so I try to find her. She reminds me to be grateful I live. She says it will soon be December. A miracle will be born, and we will be whole again. When June rushes by, I cannot keep up. It's a long way to December, Mum, I plead. Smile a little more, she reminds me. The month of freedom, independence. You should be more grateful, she says. Sovereignty, prosperity, big bellies. I flash more teeth. On the eve of my birthday, the dream of an encrusted cinnamon cake lingers. It's still a long way to December. Nothing has changed. I remain tranquil, even as my eyelids fall. I remember Mum. I await the immaculate blessing. Christmas again. From a distance, a spot of shimmery reds and golds dance through the air. It's otherwise dark all around, but for those strings of colored light and a faint sound of merry tunes mismatched against the darkened sky. The antagonism of the surroundings is unnoticed by the carols. It is Christmas already. The months have raged on a year of routine, of monotony but turbulence. A vicious flood of vengeance for past and unknown misdeeds has rocked the corners of the heart, of the head. The mind rooted in the circular waves of depression, ceaseless. There is a family in the distance, a friend, but the words are closeted. There is an imposed silence rocking against weary emotions. Uncertain of the outside, of the feeling in the storm, Is there relief? Or will all suddenly crumble in the turbulent air? For all those moments, there is no turning back now. Nothing's ever been fair, and this won't change now. It is a festive season, only in the background, and as loved ones and distant friends depart, the void remains open. It is impossible to cry in the darkness. In the promise of the birth of a savior, serene smiles are plastered across nameless faces. A frenzied dance of longing. The phone buzzes in tune with the roaring music, a city that never sleeps. Eyelashes flutter as the thundering percussion whips the nightwalkers into a frenzy, perhaps a dream of enthusiastic magic. But the bedside table vibrates and shakes, just as the phone, violent, insistent, an unwanted frenzy. It is 2:01 a.m. She fears the worst. Will another soul impossibly plead to conquer hell's bedlam? Or perhaps a supreme pardon to heaven's tempest? There is a collision in the dark. The larger toe turns bloody as she nears the window. The bright lights dance in the face of darkness, teasing and mocking. They are noisy stars, bright but controllable, with a flick of the switch. "Hello!" Her own voice unfamiliar. It is impossibly cold outside. She grieves for the courageous love that could stare in your eyes. An intangible beauty of fluttering feeling. Who is this? The pulsing pain in the toe, the foot, the hole lingers as the coordinated dance of lights and bodies persists. What you'll learn in a world obsessed with right and wrong, the innocent and guilty do not suffer equally. The guiltless are not above suspicion, their naivety seemingly punishable by death. And as one group becomes the standard for mere mortals, morality also becomes a demand of the guiltless. In the race to humanity, who then is worthy of redemption? The innocent as the guilty seem to be on the same path, eyes on the prize. But the illusion ends as soon as it begins, as faulty faces make it to the finish line. Regardless of the guiltless effort, of abundantly hurtful indulgences, there is no black and white, just limitless pain. Life in one color, sometimes red and sometimes blue. A poor child walks into the annals of history as the body gives in, tumultuous, defeated. Her name on the forehead. You are a convicted woman, fanning the flames, careless. You just had one job, one thing to do, to move, to think as you are mine, carved into me. You have aced this before. It was so easy. The flowers, verses, playlists, the music would be yours. But you are reckless, a free bird. You should know there are worse places than the promise of holy darkness, pain, a wormhole that traps your words, and the surprising musings of the mind. The convicted woman, certainly shameless, with her name carved on the forehead, she wanted to send a very clear message. With a surprisingly contemplating mind, the unnatural choices she makes, then multiple lives of apostasy enwined. She could have concealed. Instead, she lit up the name with fire. A girl, a woman. She's in the spotlight. For the first time, all eyes on her. What will she do? They encourage her. They are eager for the fantasy. She wiggles a bit to the side. She turns. They cheer. She thinks she hears whistles, excitement. She turns again. They want to see more. She's evidently a delight. Her lips tremble, a silent hum in her throat. Her father believes in her strength. A crutch for the homestead, her back, her thighs, her breasts, they wield power. She is 12. She is a woman. The noise gets louder, the cheers suffocating, a desired bride. The women in her village seem to be getting bigger, roaring. It is not just a dream, but she still has to dance, tap, and shake. Every laugh of every quivering moment, she loses the spotlight. But she thinks she will try. A confession of hope. A persistent pretense. She played a game of pretense. All day, all night persistence. She did not tire. She did not cause a disturbance. He called it a woman's essence. She put on a face bright with red and purple hues. A pretty dress, pointed heels, all in the same colors. A beautiful woman, he says. He flatters, she smiles. She packed her words carefully, organized, arranged. No mistakes, not a word out of line, contained. He wrote the rules, she followed. She was the woman of his dreams, he said. He bought gifts with love in his eyes. She sold an inch of her mind to accommodate the happiness. As he took an inch for obedience, she sold more for the light in his eyes. She played the game. She persisted. She did not tire, like a dolled-up puppet for hire. She can never go home. There were a few certainties in life that Christmas holidays arrive, and an assortment of family members trickle in, from the chatty and invasive that joke about crushes and boys, the quiet and discomforting that simply make you uncomfortable by the look. In their eyes, the distant and emotionless that seem to have no words beyond the initial hello, to the warm and personal that have a way with words, that can entertain a little one that can be very intimate, the kind that likes to put you to sleep with the power of their touch, their hands roaming from head to toe. And when the young one, with just a handful years, is certainly put to sleep, it is impossible to wake up, not the following morning, and not the near future. During the Christmases spent in seclusion at her apartment, the girl wonders, did she ever wake up from the touch? It seems to have put her to sleep years back and buried all feeling she ever had. It is always cold now, at Christmas and beyond Christmas. But the routine remains. She orders a Christmas cake a week prior to the holy day, and just then her father calls and asks whether she's going home for the holidays. She has rehearsed for this, and it works every year. Hi, Dad. I'll see if I can get some days off from work. Then I will visit. But on Christmas Day, the alarm stirs her early morning dreams, and she goes to work. She cannot be late. Paternal wounds. There is an unsettling feeling when she finally sees him stretch his hand. Trimmed nails extend from the wrinkled fingers of a hard-working civil servant. With 40 years fortifying the retirement package, perhaps something to celebrate for the cold, indifferent years. Her name slips through his teeth in the most unfamiliar way, as the letters strangle coherence right out of his throat, sending spit towards her flashing lashes. And in that moment, she knows he does not know. She visualizes clever theories for the unfolding silence that encircles them like a dark shadow and mocks their sense of civility. Perhaps the lines on his hands stretch like the strings of a harp, to an already crowded brain, etched with linear markings, of rewards, of shame for all the years gone, only the fading memory. of a discolored silver sedan. Outside her mother's house lingers in her mind. Is this his punishment or reward? She settles for punishment for a moment, and she smiles. She coughs out a little laugh at the anxiety welling up in her chest. She forgot how to communicate with the fighting words stuck in her throat. He does not know her. She knows he does not know. So how does she begin? She is embarrassed for herself and for him. Her eyes firmly focus on the lines on his arm, darting from one to the next. She feels dizzy. Back to reality when no one looks. She whispers, "Hello, Dad," and as her hand is lifted off its tight socket, to meet its wrinkled companion curtains close on an unamenable chapter. Breathing underwater. After all this time, thinking about it, visualizing it, it finally happened. The noose around the neck, legs dangling, finally suffocating. Excruciating pain, of course, but I already see the end, closure, the long-awaited relief. It is a curious thing, relief, something that has eluded me in the past. Day by day, I hoped to find it, maybe the following day, but it never quite settled in. In its place, anxiety, fear, stress, and depression resided, all the while the meaning of my existence quite clear, but I could not grasp. Maybe it was all in my head. And even though the clasp around the neck, squeezing tighter and tighter, pains to no end, nothing compares to the silence in grief these past years. The false appearances, exhausting. Carrying on in this perfect drama, I cannot endure. Am I a master in faking it? Maybe. But for the few cries for help that fall on shallow depths, it is appealing to avoid shining a torch on the dark circles. It worked perfectly for a time, sealing the bottle. Just a few cracks making an appearance, back and forth. Perhaps I should have persisted on this path, but to what end? I slip into unconsciousness, but I cannot deny the relief. Of what would have been is beside the point. As I found out, I cannot take one more minute of breathing under the water. Farewell, minister. Pure incense encircled the sun just above the cross, atop St. Joseph's ministry. I looked to the heavens, the roof, the proof of God, as the two celestial figures teamed up, to burn and drown any effort, to think, to read, to walk, to work. The ethereal room spiraled as a seemingly cynical celestial dance swirled around me. In that viciousness, a sudden discomfort accompanied me, like a chip that simply latched onto my subconscious permanently. Every word that was said, every belief, every prayer. There was no way in. I turned away from the immaculate building dripping in unearthly glory and singing a curiously ill-timed song of splendor, a recitation of the minister's mind. I was humming in tune with an adventurous breeze, dotted with the beauty of ghostly wings and the haunting scent from St. Joseph's when I came face to face with the mundane surroundings, a miraculous secret of God, to bequeath the true believer. With the persistent incense strumming at the senses softly, spiritually, the attraction refused to capture my mind's attention. The morning after, as my mind awakens to a hidden language, it finds clarity with each footstep away from the holy sanctuary. I regret I had hesitated just for a minute, but outside the aroma is so different. I am in a trance. It glows and signals the boundless imagination, the other side of piety, of freedom. I feel unholy sometimes. perhaps a malfunction of the little chip that I could not escape a sinful sermon. The thrill is gone. At 18, she took a trip to the city under the sun. Immersed in the moving lights and bright colors, the spectacle of heavenly heights and designs, light streamed against her body as radiance rested in her mind, and the haze twirled her thoughts and elicited the brightest smile. A new beginning was on the horizon. She embraced anonymity as she pushed and shoved. A sea of fleeting glances appraised the innocence on her face. She moved through the riotous traffic, fought the chaos. Resilience merits a future draped in all white, all black. There is a new beginning approaching, imminent. 10 years gone, as beautiful as the song, but she can no longer stand it. As hot air blows through her hair, scalding heat chastises her splitting scalp. Even the buildings and the colors come together to mock her persistence. The quest for survival, a plea for dignity, dramatized. She no longer feels anonymous. As the fleeting glances now have a face, there is a clear mark on her head. The nightmares now walk in day and night. She has neither dignity to live nor safety. There is no beginning or ending in sight. As I fade away, I desire unusual things, like the longing for seclusion, for loneliness, a shut-in spirit, a silent sound of sadness, a reclusive mind where havoc and happiness cordially entwine, for an encircled dance of destruction, and on the periphery, the color of red. Wine deceives, for a moment, that this is the dream of mine. What if this tale of mine is not told? The inescapable monologue of lament for a future so predictable, so cold, is buried with the memories of sadism plaguing an unwanted child, sold for a portion of coins to the cruel bonds of blood, packaged agony, that demands submission and silence to tie up the strands of harmony. In a family unit that personifies sanctimony, expectations trigger disappointment. This is certain when you unfold your thoughts again and again to a welcoming audience that you are afraid to entertain. With the stillness within your heart, you expect to feel lighter, you expect a restart, and not eyes drowned in pity and disappointment to tear apart. Gradual modifications are therefore underway to accommodate the still solitude, one step at a time on the stairway. I am unmoved as I fade away. The love I remember. The person was neither my first nor second, but everything felt like a first. The first smile towards me like a light switch. It ignited a full-blown smile from my lips, reciprocity and instinct. The first touch, a little rough but light to the heart. It beckoned a feeling quite unfamiliar, but one I could memorize forever. It felt embedded onto my skin, along with the traitorous hairs that sway with every movement of their fingers. The first kiss, full of unconcealed intention. It held no secrets, no cliches, just a disarming honesty. A contrast impudently defying an established standard. I did not feel defenseless against the vulnerability of the heart's display, but I was open, for the first time, to fall, to make promises, to share a part of me for the first time. Moon, the beauty of a starry night, in film, in books and outside, demands instant attention to the celestial. And when the moon flickers between the scant clouds, further illuminating the skies for all to see, to feel a touch of heaven. The journey closer to the end is brighter. The darkness withers, unable to keep up. Give time. I have made a little time, a little space for you. It is my hope that you will feel more comfortable here, freer, patience and a bit of borrowed naivety that better outcomes await. It is the only hope left anyway, so no more debilitating doubts. One chance, you just have to be patient. It is not as easy for me, for us in this hellish hive, bending the unending lines surrounding the fleeting boundaries of my character. A changing attitude, challenging the familiar, the cold and predictable terrain of the mind, rocked by an unyielding bleakness of what failure, of the meaning of dreams, a heart-rending futility. It is not as easy when the demands of the omnipresent queen rock the hive, but falls short in reproducing the progenies for posterity. It all falls apart so easily, unquestionably. Despite the mammoth of effort, of the changes it is decreed I need, I imagine them. I give in. Perhaps the two get a deserved end, a solution. Perhaps I do not. But I can make the sacrifice. Promise you will not punish me if I run out of time. We march with the best foot forward. As the darkness inevitably falls, remember this. I wish to express my gratitude to my brother, Anthony Njuguna, for his perspective and encouragement. And that was The Blank Mind, a collection that reminds us how fragile and resilient the human spirit can be, capturing both the shadows we walk through and the light that helps us keep moving forward. Thank you so much for listening. If these poems spoke to you, you can find Florence Njoki's book through the link in the description. Clicking the link will mean that you would be supporting not only this channel, but also Florence, the author of the book. And as always, a heartfelt thank you to all the official fairy tale enthusiasts. Your support makes this channel possible. Members get access to high-resolution illustrations and a little extra fairy dust behind the scenes. You're the reason these stories and poems continue to be shared. Thank you. And remember, if you like what you have just heard, then do not forget to like, subscribe, and share the story with other people who enjoy the strange, the original, and the beautiful. Until next time, stay strange, stay curious, and keep listening.